Okay, hi everyone. Today I'm going to try to show how to change a chain, a rear sprocket, and a front sprocket, all three on a 2003 Honda Shadow Spirit 750. Now, anyone who's ridden Shadow Spirit 750 before knows that when you hit about 50 miles an hour, 55, you start searching for the next gear up because the engine starts to buzz, but that's your highest gear and it's kind of annoying and you wish that you could have like a sixth gear. So what we're going to do is change the rear sprocket. The point of this is to change the rear sprocket so that we can put in a smaller sprocket, and then the gear ratios will change, and then when you're at a fifth gear you can go comfortably at 65 or 70 and not have the engine roar like it's a vacuum cleaner. So the first thing we're going to do is loosen the chain all the way. So before we do that, we're going to loosen this nut right there. So this side's a 27 millimeter, the other side is a 22, and these are both in the kit, in like the tool kit that comes with the bike. So I'm just going to use these and loosen that. So 22 on the left side, 27 on the right, and I'm just going to loosen it. I'm not going to take it all the way off yet. I'm just loosening this so that it's loose enough that I can loosen the chain. So again, from the toolkit, I'm just going to use the little 8mm wrench, and I'm going to go to these tightening or chain adjusters right there. I'm going to loosen it all the way. So turn it clockwise actually to loosen. So clockwise, you might want to do it the left side, and then on the same thing on the right side, so you loosen it evenly. So remember to loosen it. You're actually going clockwise all the way until the chain is totally loose. Alright, now the next thing I'm going to do is I have to break the chain, and if you have a clip type chain master link, then whatever, just take the clip off, but I don't. I have the stock one, which is endless type, so I have to actually break it with this chain breaker here, and I've never even done this before, so I don't even know if it's going to work. But we're going to give it a try. So first I'm going to fit this. I'm just going to pick any chain, doesn't really matter. So I'm going to fit this breaker over one of the rivets. I'm going to tighten it here, or make it so it fits just over it. And I'm going to put this over. Gosh, I don't even know if this is going to work, honestly. Alright, so now I've got this fitted over, nice and... want to make sure it's nice and straight. Then I'm going to take my 14mm wrench, this one's 14mm, and I'm just going to tighten it, hold this thing and tighten it until the chain hopefully breaks. So... okay, I actually did break the chain. I just used the wrench and pushed this bolt all the way through. So now I can loosen it, take it off. Alright, and you can see here's the rivet that I pulled out, just like hot from all that pressure. Throw that down over there. That means this chain should be broken. Oh, there it goes. And I broke the chain, so now the chain is off. Okay, next step is to take the rear wheel off. To do that, we got to disconnect a few things. One of them is the rear brake little lever thing, so I can push this and unscrew this little thing that holds the piece on. So take that screw off, make sure you don't lose it, put it someplace you can find it again. Okay, you know what, I'm going to take this part off first actually. So there's like a little clip in there that you got to bend to take out. So pull out this little clip, put that in a safe place. Now I'm going to take a wild guess and say this is 12mm. And I'm right. So that comes off. Alright. And there's a washer there too, don't lose that. just make sure you know where all this stuff goes, because you're going to put it back on later. So that nut and the washer come off, and this arm comes off, and try to remember the placement of all this stuff too, so when you put it back on it's nice and straight. Alright, now pull this bolt out from the back like that, and this arm comes down, then I can take this part out. Alright, I don't know why this is so difficult. Alright, there we go. So that spring comes off, this little dowel thing in there comes off. Just be able to unscrew this actually. Don't need the wrenches. Loosened it already. Okay, that washer comes off. Alright, so then we just got to take the axle out. Now you might want to use a mallet to tap it. And it's going to come out on the other side. So just give it some nice solid taps. Alright, I've hammered the axle out from the other side. So now I'm just going to lift up the wheel and pull the axle. Hopefully the wheel just drops out. So the axle came out. This collar is going to come out. Don't lose this. And you can just roll the wheel out. Careful, don't mess up your license plate. Okay, so I've taken the wheel off and I've loosened most of those bolts already now, or the nuts. Now these nuts are kind of hard to take out. I had to put on some of this penetrating blaster stuff to loosen the nuts, and I think I loosened all these already. These are all loosened except the last one, so they might have some Loctite on them, and if they do, you're gonna have to use some like snapping force to get the thing to come off. So just like that. That way it comes off. You can just loosen these. They all come off. And you can see my old sprocket is super dirty. Now the original stock sprocket has, on the Shadow Spirit, has 42 teeth. I think the ACE Classic has 41. But anyway, the one I'm going to put on is 38 teeth. You can get 39 or 37 if you want. I think 37 is a little bit low. And people seem to think that 38 is just right. So that's what I'm going to use. So these nuts come off, don't lose those. And this sprocket, if we did it right, should just come off like that. Oh, yeah, it does. Perfect. Now I'm going to save that because it's in pretty good condition actually. But here's my new 38 tooth. Does it fit? Yes. And it might be a good idea to clean this stuff off. You know, wipe that catalyst off, and then you can put the nuts back on. Okay, I cleaned up the nuts, so it's nice and clean, and I hand tightened all 5 of them already. And what I'm going to do now is tighten them, and it's probably a good idea to tighten them in a star pattern. So I'm going to tighten this one and tighten this one, just so you do it evenly. That one. So just go across the star. And if you want to use a torque wrench to do this too, that's probably a good idea too. I don't want to take it out right now, but I want this to be pretty tight. Alright, I think that's tight enough. Alright, now it's all done. Now we can put it back on the motorcycle. Okay, so I've already put the rear wheel back on, so I just put it back on the same order. I used the collars on the sides, I put the axle through, and I put the 27mm nut back on. I didn't tighten it all the way yet because I want to do the chain adjusters at the end, so we'll tighten those later. But first I'm going to change the front sprocket, and that's underneath the crankcase cover on the left side. And this is pretty easy to take off. There's a little clip here which I'm going to pull out, and then behind that there's a little washer that the clip was holding in place, so I take that out. And then down here, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing, but there's a 8mm, I think it's 8mm bolt, which I'm going to take out as well. And there's a washer behind that too, so don't lose that. Alright, took out the bolt and the washer. And then you should be able to just pull this crankcase cover off, just like that. And so here's the front sprocket. I'm going to use a 10mm socket to loosen these. So here, that one and this one, there's two of them holding it in. And these come out pretty easily, so that bolt comes out, this bolt comes out, and then underneath the bolts are there's this little collar here that you line up with the teeth, and then you pull that out, so that comes off, then you can take the sprocket off. Now I can't take it off yet because there's this little thing here, so I use my 10mm socket to pull this bolt out here, so I can take off the little clutch pedal thing. And be careful because you're going to put it back the same way later. But once that's off, you can pull the sprocket off. That comes off easily. And I'm putting my new one on, which is the same size. It's 17mm. So I'm going to throw that on right here, just like that. Then the collar goes on, and then line it up with those little holes, and put these bolts back in. So that goes back in here. This one goes back in here. Oh, and by the way, you might need to have the bike in gear to loosen these bolts, because otherwise the sprocket will just turn around and around. And then I'm going to put my little pedal switch back on. And should be around here. I can always adjust that later if I need to. Change up, down, yeah, that's good. I'm going to put the bolt back through there, that's 10mm as well. And then I can tighten all of those. Okay, so I got front and rear sprockets both on. Now before I put on the left front crankcase cover, I got to put the chain on so it can go around that front sprocket. So I got a new chain. Now for the Shadow Spirit, it's a 525 pitch, and I think for the Shadow Spirit the normal amount of links is 124 links, but since we have a different size sprocket, we need different number of links. So the chain that you're going to use now is 525 pitch, same thing, but 120 links instead. And it has to go over this sprocket, and I put it back in neutral so I can turn this thing. So around the sprocket. So let's pull this a little further, like that. If I can get this side over this way and have it over the rear sprocket. Alright, so now the chain goes over the back over here. And okay, so I've put the chain back on, and it's a pretty good fit. So now I've got to use my final master link, which is a clip type, to secure it. So I'm just going to stick it right through here. Just like this. Alright, and you can see that they came out right there. And put my O-rings right on there, like that. So my O-rings go on there. Then this cover goes over that, like that. Should look like that. And then I'm going to use my clip, which looks like this. And you want to have it so the closed end of the clip, see there's like a open end and a closed end. The closed end is going to want to point in the direction that the chain is going to travel. So if the chain is traveling like this, then you're going to want the open end, the closed end facing in that direction so it doesn't go flying off. So I'm I'm going to just pop it on there and then clip it. And then we're done. Alright, now that the chain is back on, what I got to do now is adjust the tensioners. So right now they're all the way in the back. So I want to tighten them the same amount on each side until I get the right amount of slack in the chain. So I probably want about an inch of slack on each side. So I'm just going to go ahead, use my wrench, and remember I'm going to turn it counterclockwise to start tightening it. I'm going to tighten both sides the same amount until the chain is the right amount of slack. Okay, so I'm all done. I attached the rear brake lever right there, back the way that it was. There's that arm at the bottom there, that's back the way it was. Then I tightened that axle nut. That's a 27mm, so that's nice and tight. So we're all done. We look at the other side. The rear sprocket's done. The chain is on at the right amount of tension. I put the crankcase cover back on right there. So we're all set, and the gear ratios will be a lot better. It'll make for a lot better riding. And I hope this video has been informative, and you can use it to do the mod yourself. And if you have any questions, just leave a comment. And thanks for watching.